Welcome to Black and Brown Crowns, the show where beautiful Black and Brown women speak about their career experiences. I'm Cheyenne, your host, and today we'll be speaking with Miss Debbie about how to become a wedding and event planner. Hi, Miss Debbie. How are you doing?
How are you, Cheyenne? I'm good today. It's good talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for joining me today. If you don't mind, we can just dive right in. Growing up, were you always interested in being a wedding or event planner?
I would say, like in my era, I wouldn't think that for a Black woman being a wedding or event planner, no. I would say that I was interested in the arts of some form and being creative because I wanted to be a window dresser. So that was some form of design. I'm not going to know this. Maybe your parents may, but it used to be a show called the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and her best girlfriend, Valerie Harper, that's what she was, a window dresser. And she was very artsy. She wore nice, pretty colors, and she was just like a lively person. So I don't know if that totally put me in the mindset of, the arts, but she was a white woman, but it was like nice seeing a woman just doing her own created thing and getting paid for it and doing it well. So event planner or wedding planner, no. Arts, yes.
For those who may not know, can you explain what a window dresser is?
The window dresser is like if you walk by Macy's, a boutique, and the window is dressed in such a way that catches your eye, like you dress the mannequin in a certain way, in an outfit, you put a nice belt with it, throw a scarf on, the background of the window, just creating a scene, creating a vibe, or creating an atmosphere, a look. That's what window dressing is. And it's advertisement, you know. Yeah, marketing, advertisement, if you want to look at it in that way. But to the art person, they're creating.
That's interesting that you said it's in a way showcasing art, whether if it's your vision or the company's vision, but you still get to sit there and, work through your hands in some type of art form. How did you take window dressing from the art form into wedding planning? Like, how did your interest from art get to wedding planning, if that makes sense?
I would say that it was a passion. What's inside of you as a passion doesn't really go away. I feel I was directed, in another path from window dressing, through my parents, because of the fact that it wasn't a field back then that, they thought would be lucrative. Back then you did like clerical work, you worked for the government or the city, and you got a stable job and you provided for your family that way. So that is what I did. But in me was still the vision and the passion for to create or design. If I gave parties or if my family gave parties, I had a big hand in it. I, took on the task to, create the look for the party and things like that. And as I gotten older, and everything I would say, oh, I would put like an extra spin on it. I wouldn't just go get an invitation around the corner or from the Rite Aid. I would, wanted to have a special spin. And that was me still, keeping myself alive with my passion that way. Now it's like 20 years ago. I was introduced to it back to be able to act out on my passion in a actual career way. It was through the political arena, doing coffee clutches and for a politician that was running. And I took that task and made it, I made it my own. I made it big, and I became in the political arena. I would say that I became fast and upcoming as a designer and fundraiser. With fundraisers, you're asking people for money. and a politician is. And so when you do that, could see further and thought that, if this is what you've been doing all the time, fundraisers, and you don't give anything, it's hard to get people to listen to you. When you came into an event, especially back to fundraising, or a politician or a business person, if they they're coming to bring a check, and they're usually walking right back out the door or something. Never planned on staying, really. What started happening with the event that I did, that people wanted to stay because of the mood that I set, from their invitations for their events, to once you got to their events, the events entail like a silent auction. It might have a 3-piece band, and over in the other corner, just creating moods and creating style to an event. I upscaled it. And so, doing that for years, for some years, I realized that the political arena wasn't for me. I was also doing events, private events on the side. And then even after that, I thought I wanted to get more personal with weddings. So I, now over the last, I would say 4 or 5 years, I've been just doing weddings. It's personal. And I feel like I can take the combination of all my years of experience of like meeting people, reading people, and creating a vision for them that will make the bride, the groom, and the family happy. And that makes me happy. It's really prolific for me because I'm giving of myself, and the brides, and to see the happiness of a bride and the groom and the family is it feels good.
At any point when you're, whether working for like a politician, as you were speaking about, do you work with a team or do you solely work by yourself, whether it's event planning or wedding planning?
Oh yeah, you have to work with a team. Nothing is ever like, on a scale like that by yourself. I see myself as a visionary. Um, so I will create and pull in people from a team, like even from the catering, from the setup of an event, to the breakdown, to all of that, whether it be like a nice size fundraiser in my home, which, what could be like from anywhere from 100 to 150 people, that setting the table, to, scrunching the linen a certain way, appealing way, to doing the staging of the highs, the lows, the construction. Um, I can do all that, but I can't do all that by myself. So yes, I have a team.
With working, with your team, and like you already mentioned, you will have to like scrunch the linen a certain way, make sure this person comes at a certain time. What are other typical days look like when you're working, whether for a wedding or like a major fundraiser event or something like that?
Oh yeah, I just contracted a client the other day, and so my initial was, someone referred her. She called me. I gave her a brief synopsis, just like introducing myself, and not getting all of that on the phone, like your colors, your budget, your things like that. It's just a feel. Once you decide after the phone call that, oh, I want to work further with you, I'll, initiate a letter out to you. I'll send you out a client data form when we go look at the venue space, or when we speak to the caterer, or when we picking out linen. Those things are me. Those things in between, you might be talking to my assistant the day of, or a couple of days before, if you need hotel, set up for your family that's coming in from out of town. My assistant will coordinate that for you. I'll be the main person, or that the caterer is there on time and setting up properly. The venue looks, impeccable. The family is placed in the right places. Everybody has their rooms. Nobody's causing drama, things of that nature. That's a team.
You mentioned a very busy schedule. How do you like decide your schedule, or are there certain peak times during the year where there's like a lot of weddings to be planned, or during the year for a lot of events to be planned? How do you just decide your schedule?
That's good. That's a good question. Yes, there are peak times for weddings. Yeah. Anywhere between December and February is a high peak time. Spring, you come back May. Okay. That is a peak month. June and July, people are scared of somewhat because it's hot. And then people come back around at the end of August and September. I don't overbook myself either, because like I said, a wedding is personal, and you need to, how should I say, you need to give your bride and groom your undivided attention. Depending on how big or how small the wedding is, I might have to work with that person for 6 months. I might have to work with that person. Like I have different services and packages. I have a day of service. I have a service that's from 3 to 6 months out. I have a service that's from a year out. So based on that, that's how I decide, which weddings that I will do solely, or which weddings that I would bring in my team and have them deal with one of my event planners, a wedding planner.
During those busy times, how do you manage yourself? Like, does it weigh on you to any point if you have, like, let's say 2 weddings to plan for or 2 events to plan for? How do you take care of yourself so that you don't get overwhelmed?
I'm big on boundaries. Like, and like I said, the bride likes her undivided attention, your undivided attention. But at times you have to, you have to pull back. You have to, like, call me between 7 and 9. Everything isn't a problem. Everything isn't a right now. Go, resort to your folder. This is where we are. This is what we're doing, and we're on track. It took me years, to learn how to keep boundaries myself, because I wanted everything all the time. And I was like giving too much, doing too much, and, not getting fulfilled back. And, I can't let the client know that, because that was me, poor planning. Sometimes I feel like people think the creative world, or, wedding planning, event planning is just some lightweight thing to do, when it's not. It's like you have to, for it to look like it looks at the end, that was a well-planned idea. That was a well-planned, it was a well-planned, scheme. It was a well-planned wedding. And that takes organizational skills. It takes all of that. It takes, forward thinking, being on top of yourself, being on top of things, being on top of people, checking back with the caterer, checking back with the linen people, checking back with the bellhop. How many bellhops are going to be there, because we have a family of 10. Somebody keeping me in line is one of my coordinators. It's like, Debbie, we have this, we have that, we have that. I will never let a bride know that, oh God, we're off track. The wrong linen came in or something like that. I would have one of my coordinators, one of my other event planner coordinators, make sure that happens. I meet with my team, in the midst of a wedding or 2 weddings at one time, at least 2 times a week, and, to follow our schedule. You just check in. It's just like you're at work. You keep your folder, you keep your notes, you keep your board, like a vision board. And it's like, this is where we're at, this is what it's going to look like, this is what's happening. And that's how I keep myself in mind.
What are other rewarding aspects of your job?
Trying to be everything to everybody. I saw a lot of pitfalls along the way. Some of the surprising things were that, people will use you.
How has COVID affected wedding planning or event planning like we saw last year?